Are we live?
We are live. Hey, welcome
Yay!
to Take Your Life Back with Grit and Grace. I am Coach Jen.
And I'm Coach Leanne. And today we are talking about, well, we're just going to say it. People have lost their minds. And it's not exactly people's, the air quotes. I don't like the air quotes and I've fallen into this bad habit, but people are losing their minds. And yeah, we've each had some incidents in the last couple of days, and we're just, I know I'm looking around going, what is going on, people? Is there a new moon I'm unaware of? Is Mercury in retrograde? Did we leave the age of Aquarius? I don't know. Is there some crazy plane flying over and dropping stuff? I don't know. But I do know this. In the last couple of days, I have been dealing with people who have literally lost their minds. Like normally very even-keeled people who are just, whew. What do you think, Jen?
I haven't experienced the total chaos, but I think overall tensions seem very high with regards to a lot of things. We've had a pandemic, we have housing crisis, we've had over the last year, we had race riots. We've had kids who can't go to school. I mean, we, we've had a lot going on. And I think at this point, after so long, in a lot of places, restrictions are starting to lift. And so people are now really looking for guidance. And when they aren't getting the guidance that they're seeking, it's all those frustrations from all the things are just really coming out, and it's appearing like people are just off, like they're not going with the flow. But I also have to ask, what is the flow now?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So is the new flow the work from home scenario? Is the new flow, you return to work once a month? I don't know. But it seems like those who should be making decisions like in their corporate lives are left with the okay, work with me here. It's almost like that people have lost their true north. Be it God, be it the universe, be it whatever in between. It's like they've lost their true north. These lockdowns, all this stuff, all these masks, all this crap, for lack of a better term, that has been going on over this pandemic has really taken a toll on people to the point where I think that with it being the second summer that we're going into this, kind of coming out of it, I think tensions, like you said, are just really high. And I also think that because we are visual creatures, that is how we see the world. We can hear, we can talk, but we are primarily visual creatures. We have been cut off, for the most part, from the majority of our senses around people. Because whether you know it or not, you read facial cues much more, many more times during the day than you do any other body language. Like I can look at somebody and go, you're so pretty. But if my face is covered up and I just do this, you don't know what I'm doing. So we have lived for a better part of the year with the majority of people masking up because, I I have chosen that that is not the route for me for various reasons, and we may get into that at some point, but probably not tonight. But I will tell you that I am more suspicious of a person now that things are opening up, that they're playing the game of the mask, than I ever was at the height of the pandemic. And I cannot tell you why. Isn't that weird? But because we're such visual creatures, and because we it seems like the spiritualness that was once part of our country, and I mean just like meditative or prayer, whatever, seems to have rapidly disintegrated over the last year, in my opinion. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, throw us some comments. But that's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that those who are supposed to be making the decisions, like the CEOs, are we coming back to work in person? Are we going to stay virtual? How are we going to present ourselves to the rest of the country? Blah, blah, blah. I think they've lost their true north, and where people look to them for leadership, they're confused and lost as well. You're so quiet.
No, do you think people have lost their sense of purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, my thought is, so often we attach our purpose to what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And when what we do has drastically changed, now we question our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And without that purpose, and you refer to it as understanding our true north, kind of guiding us, we're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, because we've lost that sense of, well, what am I doing? It's yeah, very, very confusing times, I think, because we had people who attached their purpose to what they did for a living, and that my purpose is getting up every morning, going off to my job, and bringing home the bacon. And if that just changed for them, and that looks completely different, they may not know now. They may be questioning, well, so what is my purpose? Or maybe part of their purpose also involved strong human interaction. And if you're now working from home and you're still in areas of high restrictions, that large human interaction has now been taken away from you. So again, you're struggling with, what is your purpose? You don't know what's driving you, and you're in constant sense of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to wonder if some of that is what we're seeing.
I wonder that myself, because like you said, a lot of people wrap their identity in what they do for a living or what their career is.
Yeah.
I have struggled for years personally to get away from the engineer personality. I am, Jen will tell you all day long, I have an engineer personality. I'm very analytical. I look at things. I have to think about them. I am a typical engineer. And I got to tell you, when I moved to Richmond and, gave up that persona, I went through a period of mourning. Looking back on it, I can see that. While I was going through it, I didn't see it. I was just like, oh, this is a new stage of my life. Well, I gave up a huge piece of my identity. And so if your identity is getting up every day because you have an office job, going into the office, March 2020, everything got flipped upside down. And so now you're walking around and you don't even have to put shoes on during the day. I mean, my goodness, most of the time I show up well, right now I'm in knit shorts. I mean, these are the most hideous looking things. There's no shape to them. And you're, but,
Right?
but from boobs up, I am Zoom ready.
Zoom ready. Yeah.
And so you lose that piece when you don't go in your closet every day and you don't choose an outfit, and when you don't put on your, I always felt like an engineer when I wore a particular pair of shoes because they were nurses' shoes, and I was on my feet all day. And so I always felt like an engineer. It was kind of like Alan Alda saying he never felt more like the Hawkeye character than when he put on the same pair of army boots for the 11-year season, or the 11 seasons of MASH.
Right.
And I think maybe people are losing their identity because work now is not putting on that special pair of shoes or that what is that badge spring back.
Right.
You're not swiping to go from the kitchen to the living room, you're just not. So I think people have it's finally starting to sink in that people have needed to mourn that piece of themselves in order to take on a new, brighter personality, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's brought to light, a lot of people don't like when, for some people, 2020 provided a moment of pause and a moment of reflection. For others, they were like, I don't want to reflect. I can't reflect. I'm like in this deep, dark hole of a place. Just get me out. And there's kind of like these two extremes or whatever. But I think mentally, we still all had this, our brains look for familiarity. And so we still had in our minds that there was an end. That, yes, I just experienced change, but for some of this, at some point, there's an end. Or we decided that there's some of this that we like and we don't want it to end, which means that now I've got to look at what else I'm changing. And so now who am I? Now what kind of life am I looking to live? And so again, like that identity that we're referring to, I think it just gave so many people an opportunity, one extreme or the other, for reflection. And so now we're coming up, we're well past the 1 year mark, and for some people things are really changing and for others it's not. But whether you're going one direction or the other, you're looking for guidance, whether that be that you're seeking your internal guidance, your true north, or you're seeking guidance from the workplace or guidance from a political party or a religious affiliation, or you're looking for guidance. And honestly, who has the right answers right now?
Me, you, no, I don't know. And that's why I say your true north is kind of, do you feel, I hate starting questions like that, by the way. Do you think that that all of this, do you think that all of this is going to ultimately lead to the Great Resignation? In other words, do you think that people who have grown accustomed, done the reflection over the last year, 18 months, whatever, do you think that is going to contribute to people saying, you know what, take this job and shove it. If you want me to come back into the office, or you don't want me to come back into the office, or I want to put on my special engineer shoes, do you think that will contribute? And how much do you think that will contribute to people resigning from their jobs and really trying something new?
It will absolutely contribute in a million ways. And I actually had somewhat of a relatable conversation last night at the gym. But before I get to the story about the gym, that'll be my second point. My first point, I was reading something just today that talked about, and I read this online, and it matches my exact story. And seeing as how I read it online and it matches my story, I'm gonna assume there's probably hundreds, thousands, maybe millions others out there who experienced the same. In 2020, we had several people furloughed. We were told raises were put on hold. The money wasn't there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Business started picking back up, and or frankly, never really slowed. And but now we didn't bring that whole workforce back. So I'm going on year 2 without a raise. The cost of everything has gone up. Everything, groceries,
Everything.
gas, everything, housing, up.
Wood.
Yeah. I can't even build my own shit, right? So, but you're asking me to do more because you didn't hire them all back. Business is actually almost better than what it was. And so now people are going, I can go somewhere else, and at least then I get higher pay. Now, maybe they experienced something similar, but because they likely had a high turnover, right?
Mhm.
And and it was too late to convince those people who just suffered for the last 18 months to stay longer. Well, now in order to get new talent, maybe that corporation's going, oh shit, I got to step up my game a little bit. Okay, now I'm willing to negotiate because now I need someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, now they're looking. Instead, corporations should be saying, instead of let me have an exit interview, let me have a tenure interview.
Ooh.
Let's talk about why you would want to stay. How can I make it so that you do want to stay? And let's have that conversation before you're giving me your resignation. Don't wait for your employees to give their 2 weeks to say, can we negotiate salary? You just asked them to go the last 18 months without a change in pay, but yet an increase in cost of living. And you've asked them to do more with less. And I was reading about this online, and that is my exact story right now. I mean, I was working at 9 o'clock last night.
Ah.
You asked me earlier, you go, did you just wake up? And I was like, no, I didn't just wake up. I just walked in the door from the gym. And I was logged in at 7 a.m. this morning. So you're asking me to do more with less. I haven't seen anything. You can't give me on any guidance or make a decision about whether you're going to keep me home or ask me into the office. Your golden handcuffs are quickly slipping.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Quickly. The other piece of this that is really coming into play that I really can't hate on, and I experienced this last night at the gym. I was working in my peak performance training, and that's a very small group personal training session. So there was only two other girls in there with me, and they were both millennials. And not to pick on millennials, but the truth is, population wise, there are greater numbers of millennials than there were Gen Xers, okay? Very different mindset of work ethic. And so I'm in there and we're working out, and she goes, no, I'm going to Mexico next week or whatever. And she's like, I need another vacation. And I go, weren't you just in Miami last weekend? And she goes, yeah, but I need another vacation. And
What?
I don't know what it is. She said, I'm not working until I die. She said, I'm living. There's no, she said, when in one of my first jobs, I worked a couple Saturdays and I decided, no way. And I don't do weekends. I don't do nights. I don't do, and she's like, and I'm like, and me and my trainer, we're both 43 years old and we are laughing. We're laughing hysterically. We're like, you don't work a Saturday? I mean, we're dying. We're like, oh, your work ethic, you would not have made it in our early years. And I was laughing. I mean, we are almost in tears laughing at all the things that she's saying. And we're just like, and I looked at my trainer and go, we did it all wrong. We busted our asses in our 20s and 30s so hard. We have not lived. We don't even know. But the millennials are on the complete flip side and are like, corporate America, we're the only country that has this corporate shit. All the other countries give you all sorts of maternity leave, paternity leave, far greater than what we have. When you say you're going on vacation, when you say you're going on holiday, you're gone a month.
Yes.
And you're not checking emails while you're on holiday. There's none of that shit. And so I think what's also going to happen is that mentality of the millennial, that generation, because population wise, there are more of them, that then have this additional opportunity to reflect. You know, we're seeing all these places who are like, well, jobs aren't getting filled because there's too much unemployment. I was sitting at the gym with these millennials that were like, I'm not even on unemployment. I'm just not going back. I'll find another way.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with unemployment. It is a different mindset of corporate America. And that's what's going to make the difference. And that's going to drive the great, whatever.
Resignation.
That's part of what is going to drive it. And the only way for these organizations to get them back into the workforce the way that they want, they are going to have to offer autonomy, flexibility, different benefits. Don't tell me your benefits are that I get 10 days of PTO and health insurance. That's no longer, nope, not going to cut it. It is so different. So that is what I think is going to drive is the stories much like mine. I'm being asked to do more with less. I haven't seen a change in pay in almost 2 years. I'm looking for guidance. You're not offering it. And then we've got the millennial generation that's like, screw you all, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I was in corporate America, now granted, I've been gone for 5 years, but when I was in corporate America, we started seeing these millennials come in. And those of us in our generation, we're sitting there going, these kids are going to die because we were taught by the baby boomer generation. We were taught how to manage. We were taught how to work. That's why we work Saturdays and nights and God knows what else.
Yes.
But these boomers, these millennials.
Do it.
Now, think about this. These millennials grew up with laptops, smartphones, iPads, whatever. They grew up with all this stuff. They don't know life without it. Like if they're not putting something on TikTok or social media, their day is ruined. We're like, I could turn off social media tomorrow and I don't think I'd care a whole lot. The detox would be hell. But after that, I just really don't care. But the fact of the matter is these millennials have found ways, and I can't even call them kids anymore because a lot of them are in their 30s now.
They're in their 30s.
Yeah. They have found a way to make money non-traditionally, and they're damn good at it. God, I wish they'd teach some of us. But at the same time, they are in a very different world than we are for our age group, because we're looking at, oh shit, in 20 years, we retire. And we just let them have it.
We hope.
But yeah, I find it very interesting to see their reactions. Now, I also find it very interesting to see if they will be aspiring to the homes like we have, to the vehicles like we have. I mean, you have 2 vehicles, you and your sons. I have 3 because girls need choices, and I wanted a convertible. And, because I wanted a convertible. And I just wonder if they will aspire to the same American dream type things. And I don't think they will.
Nope.
But it's
No, they're not having kids. How many 30-something-year-olds do you know that have yet to get married or have kids? They're not doing it.
Well,
That's why
there's some in our age group that aren't doing that either, but yeah.
But no, yeah. Whereas we grew up and it was like in your 20s, you better be popping out some kids, getting married, buying that house. Like
that's how my husband ended up with his first wife. He had that plan. He was on that track. And maybe that's why divorce rate is so high in our generation, because we chose poorly. And then there's people like me that didn't get married until I was 37, because I wanted to be damn sure that I'm not going through all this mess again.
Well, good. Yeah.
Right. But as a result of that, I'd never had a child. So, I'm not even replacing myself in the grand scheme of things. Hey, I should get an award like Harry and that dimwit wife of his. Anyway, I saved the planet. I didn't have a kid. All right. So a couple things while you were talking. I find it interesting if companies are not willing to negotiate with their current employees and do the tenure interview, which I think that's brilliant. I really think that's brilliant. Because companies will pay a crap ton of money to all these survey companies, but they won't go and actually physically talk to the person doing the work, which is bizarre. And since employees are their biggest investment, you would think that they would want to invest some time in getting to know them, and getting to know what their wants and desires and now what works for them. Also, I heard an interesting statistic lately that if you are at a company more than about 4.1 years, so
you're wasting your time.
You are wasting your time because you have fallen so far below what the actual what the actual rate is for your position.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I know that when I looked at my resume, or at least thought about it in my head, I was right at that 4-year mark with my last 3 jobs. I stayed until about 4 years, and then I was out, because I knew something in me intrinsically. I think it was just because I got freaking bored with what I was doing or getting dumped on, because I was, because of what I did. And because I am that, what's the name of our generation again?
X.
Thank you. Because I'm a Gen Xer, I'm like, baby boomer, that's not right. Millennial, that's not right. Because I am a Gen X and I learned from the baby boomers how to work, and the fact that they all worked on Saturdays. So yeah, sure. I hated every minute of it. I bitched and moaned and complained about it, but I did it. And you get piled on top of you.
You quote unquote had to do your time.
Yes. It was like you were in prison.
You have to do your time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that millennial yesterday, one of the other things she said is, well, if they did want me to work a weekend, they could pay me more for the weekend shift that I might work. I said, oh, you want shift differential? I said, then you better find a union job. And she said, no, that shouldn't be necessary.
But that is very necessary. Because what I learned and stop me if I'm wrong, what I learned as a salaried employee is that you are basically a slave. I called it to my boss and his boss's salaried slavery, because you want me to come in because you have this fictional formula in your head about how I make more than the people on the floor. How about this? How about I went to school, got educated, and that is why you are paying me a crap ton of money and you're paying somebody on the floor $15 an hour? How about that? How about I not work Saturdays and you continue to pay me because you're buying my knowledge and you're buying my expertise. You are not buying additional time from me if you are not going to pay me additionally.
Right.
And, that argument started seeping up through HR. And suddenly we weren't working the weekends anymore because I flat out was challenging them, which I think I'm kind of a cuspy millennial. I think you are too.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah.
And
super that on the cusp.
Super cuspy. And well, you're closer cuspy than I am, but I was getting that millennial vibe thinking, why am I wasting my life with this place? My life is out there. Granted, at the time it was drinking with my friends and hanging out and doing whatever, but it wasn't in that plant. And so I am grateful that I have had the opportunity that I have to retire from engineering and go on and do my own thing. I am so unbelievably grateful. You do not have any idea how grateful I am. Because I think had I gone through this great reset, or whatever we want to call it, the pause, the reflection,
the reset,
as I would be pausing and reflecting, I think I'd be with your millennial friends. I may not be as, I was just in Miami, I need a vacation, but I would definitely be reevaluating career choices. And I predict that resume and career coaching and headhunter style services are going to just explode in the next probably 18 months, because people want to figure out what skills that they have that are transferable.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a project manager anymore. I want to be I don't know.
A recruiter, apparently.
A recruiter. Well. Or a head honcho, or I had that song going through my head. I want to be something else. I want to do something else. And I don't want my identity tied to my work.
Right.
And I think we're going to start seeing that. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more entrepreneurships, be they brick and mortar, be they online services, whatever. I think we are going to start seeing an explosion of just absolute change. It's going to be like the Middle Ages, the medieval time, where things started to wake up from being, quiet, which the Dark Ages are really the Dark Ages, but that's a history thing. We'll get into that another time. But I think follow me on this. In the Middle Ages, the middle class gained more wealth and grew. And the only way that the upper classes could suppress middle class advantage, middle class wealth, was to tell them that they couldn't dress like the upper crust. And those people started to revolt. And when they revolted, the lower people revolted, and it just became a big old mishmash, and they stomped it down. Everything collapsed. And then it built again. And I think we were at that collapse point, and now it's starting to build again. And I think we're going to see something really special and very different.
Very different. And I think that that is all part of what we're kind of seeing, where it feels like, okay, people have lost their mind. They're all of a sudden asking for all these things. Who are you? What are you asking for? What is this? And I don't necessarily think that, the word that I hear get thrown around so often right now is entitlement. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think that deep down they feel entitled. I think that they are frustrated. They're trying to push for some change, and it's coming off as as maybe a little arrogant or entitled or frustration, like maybe they've lost their mind. I think it's just that there's so many shifts in the universe occurring at once
Mhm.
that people are just like, "Oh,"
Which
you
brings us
know?
back to where we started.
Yeah,
People are losing their minds.
yeah,
And, here's some quick advice I can give everybody. Don't fight with people on Facebook. It's a losing battle. People are going to say what they're going to say. Just if you don't like it, scroll past. However, I do think that you should fight for the things that you believe in and that are right, but be sure that you are able to back it up with facts and data, because if you can't and somebody calls you on it, you can't just pile on. You can't just sit there and call them names, because that proves the weakness of your position. And frankly, you just look foolish. So don't argue with people on Facebook. Do not join the pool
the
of,
internet, period.
just leave it. Watch the funny videos on YouTube and TikTok, because there are some good ones. And just breathe and figure out your next best step. The best way you can do that is you can contact either Jen or I, and we can walk you through our programs, and you can get us to help you. Because if you're watching us, obviously you like us. Right? What's not to like?
But it's absolutely what we're talking about, that people, for a lot of folks, they've lost their sense of purpose. There have been so many shifts, so I'm a little more on the health coach side, although health and life, they are together. Mindset is number one to your health coaching program. So,
As well as
um,
coaching.
yeah, it's so while I lean a little more towards the health thing, one of the big changes that I've seen is body positivity occurring. So the old days of, I want to lose weight because I want to look good, that purpose is no longer driving people. You really need to dig deep and understand, what is driving me? Why do I want to be healthy? Like, and you've got like this urge of like, I don't even feel good when I eat this. I'm still not understanding why I'm doing this. I want to change. There's a bigger drive, and it has nothing to do with, I want to look cute in the bikini, because I'm here to tell you, I went on a float trip last weekend and we were all in bikinis, whether we gave two craps about how we looked or not. And so the body positivity is amazing, but what it's bringing to light is how important understanding your purpose and seeing where your true north is, how important that is, and how important that is to your health and your life. And looking for guidance, that's something else that can come from a coach, because so many of us have lost that sense of purpose. We're not getting the guidance in our lives that we're seeking. The answers, we know the answers deep down, but we need help digging that shit out.
Yeah. And once we dig that shit out with a trusted coach, and, if there's something that I don't feel like I can handle as a coach that falls into more of the therapy, I will immediately say, stop. I would really recommend you talk to a therapist. So I just want to get that out there. Coaches are not therapists. Coaches help you dig deep. and they help you go and really search out that answer. Why do you want to lose weight? I want to look good in a bikini. Well, why do you want to look good in a bikini? Because it will make me feel better. Why will it make you feel better? Because I've never looked good in a bikini. Why have you never looked good in a bikini? Because my mom fed me 12 pies a day. Oh, okay. So let's look at why your mom, why are you still eating those 12 pies a day? Well, no, now I'm down to 6. Okay, let's dissect that a little bit.
Down to 6.
Well, I had to have something to dissect. So, that is just a very simple, off the cuff type of thing. But that is what coaches do. We help you figure out what your next best step is. And so if you're eating 12 pies a day, you're down to 6. Can we get that to, more vegetables and 3 pies a day? And then
what is that, tomato pie?
Oh my God, yes.
So Coach Leanne had over the weekend, she posted something on her Facebook, which by the way, if you're not following Leanne on Facebook, go and look her up on Facebook, because she posted this last weekend, this amazing tomato pie. I didn't know this existed, and I'm highly intrigued.
Oh yes, it's a Southern thing.
Oh,
My horse trainer, Lonnie, she showed up to work out with Jason, and he goes, "I've got supper for you." And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, "Lonnie makes tomato pies once a year, and you guys got one." And I'm like, okay. And he went through about how to warm it up and everything. And there's this balsamic glaze. And, I'm sitting here on the elliptical. I'm drooling. It's not sweat, it's drool, right? And the dog is looking at me like, you're crazy. And I'm like, but tomato pie. And I'm like, I've never had tomato pie, but I've seen it and I've heard about it. And so Jason's like, don't let me forget to give it to you. And I'm like, okay. So I followed him into the house to get it, make sure that he got it and the glaze. And Lonnie made that. That woman can cook. I keep telling him if he doesn't marry her, I'm going to, because that woman can cook.
I just need somebody who can cook in my life.
Right. I can hire a housekeeper. I can actually hire a chef, but you know what? It's better when it's, but anyway,
If only,
right?
if only it were that easy.
Right. But yes. So yeah, can we move from a sugary apple pie to a healthier tomato pie?
I'm down.
Right. So after all that huge detour, that is what coaches do. I have a coach, my coach Jason. I write down all my food and I give it to him. Last week he took the paper and he crumpled it up and threw it away. He's like, that was bad. Oh, okay. Now I understand why I'm not losing weight. I need to make better choices. And I talked to another one of our coaching friends and I said, I don't know why I'm not making better choices. And she asked me a bunch of questions. And so this week I'm making better choices because it's top of mind. I worked on it. I'm working on it step by step.
Right.
One day, maybe I'll actually be where I want to be. But for right now, I am being coached.
Well, and let me tell you, we all go through, constantly questioning those choices even as health coaches go through the same thing. It's a human, it's because you're human, but you're seeking to do better. And you're seeking for something different for your future. And so that's why you're seeking out that guide to guide you through that.
Yep.
So I know a little bit of a tangent, but that's really kind of, I think, it's just some observations that you and I have noticed in the universe lately. What feels like people are just going crazy and losing their minds. And I think it begs to ask, are they seeking a new purpose? Are they feeling lost? Are they feeling like they don't have the guidance, whether they're seeking guidance from corporate America or wherever they're seeking it from? I think people are tired. They've had that moment of pause. and they're looking for that purpose now.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, on that note, then it has been another great Tuesday evening with Take Your Life Back with Grit and Grace with Coach Leanne and Coach Jen. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Take Your Life Back with Grit and Grace, and follow us on social media. If you have any interest in discovering what it's like to be in the hot seat with a coach and to be guided on how you can dig a little deeper and figure out what you're truly looking for your future, reach out to one of us. We will put down in the comments our contact information. And until then,
Take your life back with grit.
See you all next week.
Yes.